What is going on? You are listening to TAGSPodcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the podcast. I'm your host, Steve V, celebrating 5 years of TAGS. That's right, July is here. Like I said, episode 378. I hope you guys had a nice, fun-filled 4th of July holiday for those listeners here in the States. If not, I hope you're having fun across the pond. Shout out to all of our newly Australian listeners as I see you guys listening away. Love it. Anyways, hope everyone is doing great. On this episode here in the States, since we had a 3-day weekend, I had some extra content that I thought would be fun to share with you guys. The first is when Cody, Lincoln, and I got together after they took Lincoln's class, and we kept the audio rolling. We had enough content. Those of you who are on our Patreon community, we see you, we appreciate you. You would have already gotten this extra show content. Well, now it's time for the rest of you to get this. And we just kept the audio rolling, and we had a lot to say because we were all in person. Afterwards, Lincoln, who always has a lot to say, and I recently recorded episode 375 a couple weeks ago. And just like that other episode, we had a lot to say, and we had more than we needed for episode 375. So we kept the audio going, and I'm giving you that extra content that we recorded. So exclusive content just for you. Stay tuned for both of these. There's a lot. We have all brand new shows coming up, including Tags Live this Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. And then back with the hosts all next week. So follow us at tagspodcast.com. Follow us on social media at TAGSPodcast. And let's get into the first part of this two-parter where Lincoln, Cody, and myself kept the audio rolling a couple weeks ago, and listen to what we had to say.
But anyways, let's get into another topic, and I go on record on saying that. There is a recent story that caught my attention that writes, let's not forget to break down stigma around men's mental health for Pride this month. Olivia Lawrence wrote this article that really got my attention. She wrote, I still remember the first time I heard those sharp words. I'm 24 now, but these words still manage to make me feel uneasy. Man up, grow some balls, and stop acting like a girl. All phrases thrown at me from ever since I could remember. The message was, you're a boy, so get on with it. Expressing emotions as a boy or a man, especially those considered as being more feminine, hold such negative connotations in our society. Men have historically been held to a certain standard, shaming us into hiding any type of emotionality that could be seen as a weakness. This is a really good article that I'll repost on Tags Podcast because it really goes into depth. But I think as a gay man, many of us have not dealt with our growing up and our emotions. I can remember being called sissy, being called beaner, which is not related to that, but Mexican, just stuff that I don't think I ever really dealt with until recent years. Being called, don't act so girlish. Then I thought I was over it, and I got into acting in 1998, speaking of the year, and all my managers and agents, butch it up, practically, they said. Yeah. And one agent even told me he wanted me to get like a chin implant because he thought it would make my jawline stronger. And that's crazy talk, I think, now. So many of us gay men, I don't think, have really dealt with the trauma that has tormented us for years. What are your thoughts on this when you hear this?
I totally agree. I think that as far as that's concerned, I think that we as a community probably should really address how that actually made us feel and what we need to do to come to terms with that. I think that, and I really don't think, I think that there's so much more available to us when we're being vulnerable and when we're actually
Get it out.
being in touch with our feminine side, really.
Yeah.
So I think that there's all those terms really don't hit home with me, and I really have let go of a huge part of that. But like you said, it still affects me today. The fact that it says people say, be a man. I think that I'm entrapped in that whole masculinity thing as well. So I have more work to do, but I agree that I think that we need to let go of a lot of that
But you were
stuff.
such a leader in it, because when I was just in LA and former guest on our show, Sebastian Lacaze, said, "Hello, darling,"
Oh.
which he was quoting you
love
on how you
that.
start Tags Live every week. And you give me inspiration every time you do that. And it's just like I look forward to hearing, "Hello, darling," and to hear a guest, former guest and listener quote you gives me life, which
Thank
is
you.
really expressing your feminine, just expressing yourself.
Look, I'm a blouse all day, okay? So I have really leaned into being authentic to who I am. And I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So you learn how to balance the duality in your nature. So I think that as soon as you learn where you're comfortable being, then it becomes that much more easy to actually lean into that.
What do you think about trauma, past trauma, Lincoln, that we all may or may not hold?
Well, I find this fascinating because I don't like the feminine or the man up accusation when what the person's really trying to say is be an adult.
Oh.
Be an adult. That's not about being a man or a woman. It's just be an adult.
I don't think that's what they mean, though.
But to me, it really is. To me, it's.
I think it's gender specific.
Like take responsibility?
Well, I'm getting there.
Okay.
This is why this has always bothered me, because saying man up or don't be feminine or that's always like stuck in my craw, because I just want to be an adult. I want to be a responsible, mature adult, right?
Okay.
So that's something I've stuck with in my life. And then my mom passed away, which I've talked about on this show.
Right.
And the house that I was raised in needed new water pipes. Like the whole house, the water pipes needed to be redone.
And you were a man and you did them all yourself.
Nope.
No.
that would be a good twist of
I
fate.
met this great plumber, and this guy, Robert, came in, and he explained for 2 hours what he was going to do with the house and how much it was going to cost, and it was not cheap. And I trusted this person, and it was like, I'm going to be in town for this finite amount of time, and it all has to be done. And it all got done. And like things fell through the cracks, but they still stepped up. And
Right.
And the last day he came to do an inspection, and I have to go off on a short caveat, because in the middle of it, I said, can you do me a favor? I said, I'm a bit of a hippie. So if this offends you or you don't want to do it, that's fine. But I'm still going to ask. And he's like, yeah, ask. I said, can you, because he was crawling under all parts of the house. I said, can you bring some sage and burn it under all the corners of the house? And he was so into it. And he's like,
don't burn the
absolutely.
wires while
So
you're at it.
Peter, and it's water, not electricity, but we're okay. So
Come on,
man up, Steve. Come on.
on,
It's
man.
plumbing. It's not electrical. Anyway.
Again.
So
I was into it.
In
though.
this
I was
climate-
into
what
it.
was great was Peter and I were in the house with Salty Pretzel, and all of a sudden there was like smoke coming up through all the carpet because he was snuffing or whatever. What is it called? Snuffing? Is it snuff? So he did it. So anyway, last point. At the end, he's like, you're done. We had the inspection with the city. You're done. And I said to him, I just have to tell you, you were such a gentleman to break everything down with me like my grandfather would have done and my dad would have done. And when my mom and dad got a divorce when I was a little boy, a lot of people said to me, you're now the man of the house. You're the man of the house. And it put this pressure on me that I had to figure out fucking plumbing and electrical and I had to figure out everything. But now I can pay another adult to do the job correct. I burst into tears in front of this guy. So while I stand here and I turn to you and I say, it's not about masculine or feminine. It's not about manning up. I obviously had some scars that were completely cured by hiring the right person who heard me, by me being able to express that to him, like no therapist could have gotten me there.
Yeah.
Where this
So I get your
random
point
plumber
about
got
adulting.
me. It's adulting. So if anyone out there has someone in their life telling them to man up, just put it aside. That's their ignorance, and be like, oh, maybe they're just telling you to be more of an adult, and you want to do that anyway. So do it anyway. Because, like I said, like to your point, obviously I have issues.
Yeah.
Because I literally started crying. I took a selfie with the plumber. I cried on his shoulder. Aww. He started crying. Peter started crying. I think Pretzel cried. I didn't understand what was happening, but it was so cathartic.
Yeah.
As an end result.
I think that's what this article is alluding to, is we need to be more empathetic to our gay past. And many of us have so much trauma that we've washed over, we put the rug over, we haven't dealt with. And in many ways, we're that much more immature than our living in a heteronormative society.
Yeah.
Dealing with these things, and until you realize, sometimes they don't come up until later on in life, like this situation. I remember when my father passed away, my cousin said, now you're going to, just like what you said, now you're going to be the man
of the house.
And you got to take care of your mom. I actually took that to heart, and I am still... We talk every single day, almost every single day, my mom and I. And I do have this responsibility towards her, but it wasn't manning up. It was
not.
Adulting up.
Because the
but
last
it
thing-
triggered me. It
Taking
triggered me, and it got me
responsibility.
nervous. Like, am I a man? I
And
don't
the
know.
last
What
thing
does
your
that even
mother
mean?
wants is for you to be the man of the house. Like the last,
She doesn't want
that's
that.
inappropriate and weird, and
Thank
you don't
you.
want to do
Good
that.
point.
So, but the language, my only point was
Is
don't lose
triggering.
it.
Yeah.
My only point is there's a separation between the language and what's actually going on, because words have weight. They stick to the wall and they don't leave. So you need to differentiate between the language of man up and just like, wait, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
What's the intention?
What's the intention?
Yeah.
That language is really offensive, but the message might still be something you need to hear in one way or another.
Yeah, I agree. That like when that person asks you to man up to your mother, like how condescending is that to your mother? She's an adult.
Well, and if you know my mom, she would definitely say, What are you talking about? Like, no.
That's actually ridiculous that somebody would tell you that it's your responsibility to take care of your mother.
You're now the man. You're now the man of the house thing, and I'm like, I don't even live
And the truth
in Northern
is
California.
they're just projecting onto you how much of a man they're not.
Yeah, but I had to, like your point, Lincoln, is read through the lines and know that he was really coming from a good place on you just need to look after your mom.
You're
and
gonna
it
do
wasn't,
that because
and
you
I had
love
to
your
get
mother.
over my, like this article, trauma of people telling me, be like a man, stop being girly, don't do girl stuff. Don't play with Barbies. All that
Don't
trigger,
cry.
all those
Listen,
trigger things
Boo.
came up in my head. They are trigger moments, and they're real, and we can't ignore them.
And I was holding on to my Donnie and Marie dolls and probably holding my Donnie and Marie karaoke microphone when I was being told to man up. There's a difference. That's why you need to wait. You don't get it.
Yeah.
You don't get who I am. And then you have to draw it back to even what is the definition of a man.
Yeah,
in
that's
that.
what
bull-
actually
yeah.
what I was going to say, because there's so many facets to actually being a man, and you can actually be a man by just being who you are and being accessible to your family and to all of your emotions, the myriad of your emotions. I think that's more of a man than if
Or
you,
a person.
Exactly.
How about a person?
Well, thank you.
And to
Yes.
end on a bright note, because everyone knows my mom passed away, she told me basically I beyond manned up. I humaned up as a son
Thank
to
you.
her. And we had
Come
all the
through.
conversations before she passed of like, that was bullshit. This was bullshit. You were brilliant. Like, so keep having those conversations, even with the people who tell you to man up. Try and keep having those conversations if you can.
Well, speaking of pride and manning up, the original Wonder Woman, Linda Carter, my
I love her.
favorite, went viral with her Pride Month message. Actress and singer Linda Carter. By the way, singer, I saw her at Sony Plaza up on in Hell's Kitchen. What's that place called? Anyways, I saw her there recently, a couple years
Radio
ago.
Music Hall?
No, it's in Hell's Kitchen. It's at the Sony Music Hall, and she came in with a full-on band, and she could sing everything, twang and country and just...
I think she was doing that before she was Wonder Woman.
Yes, she's always been a singer. She's a triple threat in many ways. Actress and singer Linda Carter has seen a tweet go viral, which she posted on Pride Month day, June 1st. Carter, we all know, played Wonder Woman in the late 70s, which I was a huge addict of. Quote, I didn't write Wonder Woman, but if you want to argue that she is somehow not queer or trans icon, then you're not paying attention, she said. Every time someone comes up to me and says that Wonder Woman helped them while they were closeted, it reminds me how special the role is.
Oh, that's so cool.
Linda Carter is like, when I saw her recently perform, she's so sweet and loving, like even sweeter than the fashion in the 70s with Wonder Woman was just as equally as fabulous as her in the Wonder Woman suit.
Yeah.
And they chose, I watched this documentary on the making of it, and from the glasses that she wore as Diana Prince to the chinois, it's a bun thing. That she did, to the fabulous fashion of the 70s was just spot on point. But in real life, she's so much sweeter even than Diana Prince is. She's almost
a great
like
icon.
Yeah.
Super sweet and such an icon. Did you watch Wonder Woman, Lincoln?
I did. You know what I want to ask you guys? Did you feel that vibe at all in the modern Wonder Woman?
Not as much.
Not as much, right?
Yeah.
Not as much.
I
have
feel
to
they doubled down on which, by the way, I saw the first Wonder Woman with my mom in a movie theater, and it was
fabulous.
such a great celebration of women, and my mom really loved it, and we really loved it. But I wanted
the humanizing
there was
side
a
of
colorful
it.
campiness of Wonder
That's what
Woman
I
that
was
I've
gonna
never
say.
really
Well,
thought of as
the
a
camp-
gay
That's a-
thing, but maybe it is.
But it's
Yeah,
a question
totally
for
it is.
Mr. Superhero
Comic book man?
over here, Cody, because back in that era, when they did Superman
Sorry.
or when they did Batman, which was silly back in the day
Yeah,
in the
for
60s,
sure.
silly.
The band
but
and the
Wonder
pow.
Woman, she had a personality and she had a shtick about her that made you love her. Don't you feel, or I feel, that many of the new reiterations of comic book heroes lack that personality because there's so much on the effects?
Yeah, and they really want to make it as gritty as possible, especially the DC
gone very
things.
dark.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
try to make it as gritty and as visceral as
But
as
are they
possible.
losing the personality?
They are losing the campiness 100%.
The campiness,
because-
not the personality, though. I think there's still a personality there. It's just not campy. To me,
And-
like
Yeah.
Jessica Jones is my big thing.
Love,
I'm a big Jessica
love
Jones,
Jessica
like-
Jones fan.
Well, Marvel
I
is
love
getting it right. I think they're
That's a
learning
good
how,
example,
how to
Lincoln.
balance the two.
Yeah.
But I think DC is really leaning into they've had so much success with Batman that I think that they're really leaning into making things as dark and as realistic, quote unquote,
Which is
as
so
possible.
funny because Batman to me is still the original Kim Basinger. Like Batman to me is
Nipples?
still
Wait, what?
Like remember Kim Basinger
Yeah.
and Prince doing the song, and then we talked about this, and you guys like freaked out at me sitting at home with we weren't in person when I was like Michelle Pfeiffer or bust, and you guys
No, I
were
love
like,
Michelle.
no, it's the new what's her name?
Zoe
Oh,
Kravitz.
well, I love
Kravitz.
Zoe too.
Amazing.
I love Zoe.
How can you not?
But I'm a
like-
Halle Berry fan, so I love Halle.
Well, she was probably the worst Catwoman. Don't
No,
tell
but
anybody
I
else.
love her.
Nothing was compared to
You
Michelle
cannot
Pfeiffer.
bite your tongue.
I'm
like you
still
do with-
holding on to
I
my
live for
4
Halle
hours.
Berry.
I haven't watched the new one, but Michelle
But back-
Pfeiffer,
Yes.
come on. When she hit that damn neon with the high heel and it said
Hell
hello
here.
there and it turned into hell here.
Yes.
Oh my.
But back to
But
Manning.
I could watch her read a phone book. When she went over that ladder in Grease 2. Remember in Grease 2 when Michelle Pfeiffer, Cool Rider? Why haven't they done that musical
I
on
love
Broadway?
Michelle- No, I love Michelle
want
Pfeiffer.
the cast of Grease
Wait a
2
second,
to
you
go
know
down.
Michelle Pfeiffer's up on my.
We're gonna bowl tonight.
Oh,
We're gonna
I'm obsessed with it.
bowl tonight.
I love Grease 2
We're
better
gonna
than Grease
rock, we're
1.
gonna
I don't
roll.
like barbecue in this climate. Yeah, all of that.
I mean, you have to.
All of
when
it.
they do the luau and he gets off the boat, I've never laughed so hard in my life.
But
You
back
have
to
watch Grease.
Wonder
Sorry.
Woman and back to manning up. In my formative years, I watched the reruns of Wonder Woman, and me and my friend, yes, I did do Superman and all that. Me and my best friend, we were gymnasts, so we could do flips off of couches into the pool. We wanted to be Wonder Woman. We would do the whole turn, and it gave us life. And so it really, I would go up to Linda Carter Taylor and probably have tears in my eyes as I'm almost welling up right now. And I would say, just like so many of them, thank you so much, because you gave me the ability to be strong and proud of who I am. And I'm not a woman, but I related to Wonder Woman more than I related to Batman or Superman or Aquaman. Something about her, the way she played it, gave me life that I still hold today. You can watch it on HBO Max. Promo for Wonder Woman, the old one,
the original ones,
all of the catalogs on there. Put it on after you
DC
smoke
thing
some
is on.
blunts, and you will be happy.
Okay.
Look,
All of it.
Leomi Maldonado, ballroom legend, she patterned herself after Wonder Woman. So I love that. And she is an icon in the ballroom scene. And so for anybody to say that Wonder Woman has not had an effect on the gay community, they are completely out of touch.
I think,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And trans community.
And Linda Carter
100%. She totally had everything to do with it.
Yes.
So I love her.
Hope you guys enjoyed that. Keeping the ball moving, or the balls in our case. Let's get into a recent episode of episode 375, when Lincoln and myself held down the fort and kept the audio rolling. This didn't make it into the final cut because we just had so much content, but it was equally good. We continued talking about finding the one and more. Here's more from Lincoln and myself from episode 375, brand new, exclusive to you.
When I turned 45, I said, I am no longer having a relationship the way I've been trying to have it. I keep putting a formula of the way I'm going to be with someone is A, B, C, and D. And if you don't see the formula, we're not going to work. And I kept forcing the formula on people, and it wouldn't work. It kept being very frustrating and aggravating. And I said, okay, so the problem is either the formula or the person that I'm picking to put the formula on, right? Because I had a lot of, I'd never left someone for somebody, but I had like a 3-year relationship, 6 months off, met someone else, tried the formula. 2 years, it ended, poor me, I'm never going to find anyone. 2 months later, 6 months later, bam, this is the right person. Try the formula. Blew up in my face. And when I turned 45, I was like, no more. I just have to stop. And I went to Bear Week in Provincetown, and I went to Folsom, and I went to Dory Alley, and I spent a lot of time alone, and I, made a lot of friends, and I had a lot of sex with a lot of different people, and was like, nope, no relationships, no more, no more, no more.
So let me ask you this question, because I think this would be really helpful to so many people, including myself. When you talk about formula in our community, often formula is related. We just were talking earlier about the sexuality of pride. Many of us came out for the sexuality of it all. I remember I came out for the sexuality. People, I feel, made it all about you like this or you like that. And it was all about the sexuality. So we came out with a...
Hey Gavers,
it's Sean
and Bree,
and we are the hosts of I Can Explain podcast,
a podcast where we answer the questions you are too afraid to ask about being LGBTQ+.
From queer dating
to LGBTQ+ sex
to coming out and everything in between.
This lesbian
and this gay
have got you covered with our queer experiences.
Subscribe to I Can Explain podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.
That's I Can Explain podcast. See you around the neighborhood.
Sexuality out of all the experience. And when you talk about that formula, how I can find a sexual moment with a lot of guys that I saw so much hot with mature guys having sex one guy, this mature guy was having with a thick cock, was having sex with this really big, younger, twink looking guy. And I was so turned on. I had to come back and jerk off because it was so hot. But I think that it can skew what that can be that, but it can skew what I'm really looking for.
Totally. There is a huge difference between a sexual act with another person and understanding what you need in intimacy and what
But how can
another
that
person
marry?
needs.
How can that marry, or does it marry? If you are they separate? Are they, you know what I mean? Or do we share that with our partner that we ultimately connect with?
Well, that is part. Well, see, some people have never gone far down that road, right? Some
Right.
people have not ever been to an IML or a Dory Alley or a back room at a circuit party and seen all of that behavior. And when like part
Oh,
of the thing, so
yes.
part of that when I turned 45 to 50, I was full throttle and I don't need the formula. I don't need the boyfriend. I am just going to have a good time. And I had a great time. I had a great time.
I saw you out and about
Yeah.
during that
And
time.
no regrets, no nothing.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
went to the Pines party by myself, living my best life. And I met someone early on in the party. And I had never really done this before, but he kind of became my party boyfriend, and I
Oh.
introduced him to everyone at the Pines party. And he was from LA. He was very sexy, and we had a great time. And blah, blah, blah,
And
blah,
for the
blah.
most part, everyone assumed you two were
Like
an item for the
for the
weekend.
weekend, exactly, or for the
Yes.
night.
Or right. Yeah.
Sure.
No, I get it. I get
So
it.
at like 4 a.m, he turned to me and he said, "Listen, let's go back to the house. It's nearby. Let's take off our costumes. Let's shower so we feel fresh. We'll do a new little party favor and come back and watch the sunrise
Oh, I
and
love
dance and
it.
have a great time." Right. So we go back to to the house, and right as we unlock the door, you know how in Fire Island there's, just for some backstory for
Gates.
listeners, there's a little trail that you walk on to go from house to house. It's like a wooden pier, like a
Yeah,
pier,
what do you
right?
call that?
I don't know
Yeah,
how to say
right.
it. What's the word?
Oh,
Like
what do you call the, oh shoot.
a dock.
Yeah, but it's called,
It's
yeah,
like a
decking,
wooden
like
plank deck.
decking, wooden
Yeah.
deck.
So
Yeah.
okay.
But it
So
goes throughout the whole
yeah, if you
tropical,
guys
yeah.
watch the movie Fire Island on Hulu, you'll see
Which
what
is
we're doing.
really
Which is
good. Did
really
you
really
watch
good.
it
I did
yet?
watch it. It's really really good.
It's so
So
good.
good. So we went back to the house, and the door to the house is on the middle of the deck, and then you continue to walk the deck to get to the house. Well, he turned the corner to the door, took a step, missed the deck, and fell off the deck.
Oh,
And his
no. I know
ankle,
exactly what you're talking
right?
about.
He fell off 2 feet off the deck. His ankle blew up to the size of a basketball.
Oh, no. Speaking of
And so
ankle.
I picked him up and I put him in the house. I put his foot in the ice maker in the refrigerator. And I
Oh,
was like,
my
the swelling has to
God.
come down. And we weren't exactly sober. And
No,
it's
of
already
course.
4:45. And
Other housemates are still going to come
no
home and
one,
be, what the
right, no
fuck?
one has come to, we're there alone. And then all of a sudden, his good friend came back early. And I'm like, oh my God, look what happened. And the guy's like, oh my God. And the person who was like my boyfriend of the night said, Steven, I know that this was important to you. You gave Protein Bakery. Go back to the party. Go back to the party. And I'm like, well, I feel bad.
Salvage your night.
Salvage your night. And I said, okay. So he had friends there. I decided it was cool. And I went back to the party and I just ran back. My
Right.
hair was all curly. I was wearing Adidas shorts. Steven, nobody recognized me. I knew no one there. I just stood in a corner and kind of danced by myself. The sun came up. People who kind of knew me were already doing their own thing with the people that
Right.
they had met all night. And I
Right.
remember that loneliness was
Oh.
so palpable. It was so in every fiber of who I was that I was
I
like,
know what you're talking
well,
about.
the meat rack is a long way away, and I guess I could try and get on an app, and I can run into the ocean by myself. And one of my good friends was the stylist to the Go-Go Boys, and he was in the
Oh,
back of the stage, left alone. Everyone had left, and he was the one who had to pack up all the costumes. And I remember he came out and we sat in the middle of an abandoned dance floor at the Pines and we just talked about how truly alone we were. And it
wow.
was, again, I wasn't exactly sober. So I was going down this, idea in my mind. And it helped me get to a place of like, I'm not going to find every single sexual act and every sexual thing that makes me hot in all one person. Like that is an unrealistic goal. The guys that you saw at Folsom and the doorman at the Monster and all the guy
Yeah.
if you try and put that all into one person, you're going to one drive that person crazy and you're going to drive them away from you because no one can be all that. But what I can do is find one person for us to have our adventures, take it in stride, listen to one another, and smooth out the rough edges that I had obviously been a bit on a warpath on when I was single, the same warpath I was before trying to make a formula fit into a person. And that's what I think cracked open the space for me to meet Peter. And when I met Peter, I am not a juggler when it comes to dating. I cannot date more than one person at once. But
You
I
have these
was,
people that do like 3 or 4.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I had been out, I had seen someone twice, and I had seen this other person twice, and I ran into Peter on the street. And within 1 week, it was very evident to me. Evident? It was very
Yeah.
obvious to me that those other two people were not
We're not.
necessarily a match. And Peter was someone I wanted the conversation to continue with. And I have to say, part of the reason, I think I've said this before on the show, Peter is a bit of a unicorn. Peter
He
did
is.
not go
He's a
to any of the
lovely
farewell
unicorn.
parties.
He's rainbow
He's
bright.
not a backroom person.
No.
Peter's tummy is very sensitive, so he was never big into the party favor thing or
But
get
you're
like,
also very, you choose what you do. So you guys are, in that way, you're kind of similar,
yeah,
I
we are very
think.
similar. I'm just saying when it comes to experience, it's not like he
Yeah.
turned to me in the middle of us dating and said, well, I'm going to Lazy Bear in Russian River, so you can join me or not. Like he's like, what the hell is Russian River? I don't know what Lazy Bear is. You know what I mean? Like it's just not his wheelhouse. So some people say you need to meet people in those environments so that that can be part of your relationship. So Stephen,
Yeah.
like if you met someone at Folsom that you hooked up with, then maybe that's part of your trajectory as a couple, that those are the events you're going to do together. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful thing. That's things you have that are very similar. I have never fit into that mold
Well, the
across the
thing
board.
is, the one that I connected with over this past weekend is somebody that was a friend of our co-host at not, I
Which
mean,
helps.
we had coffee, we had dinner together,
Right.
we changed together, we were taking showers, we were listening to music, and yes, we went to some of the festivities at Providence, Rhode Island, but one of the things that I think I bonded with him is I just like him. He's
Right.
such a guy's guy. I don't know. And I thought I felt that. And my sister told me as I was talking to her on the rooftop before we started the show, she said, it's funny because you said you looked at his pictures and you were like, no, I said, yes, I did. But I thought it was Jeremy's boyfriend. I said, Jeremy, who's his boy? There was something about him. There was something about him that I could pick up on. Jeremy's like, no, we are just friends. Not that at all. And I went into that thinking, oh, okay, I'm not going to go down that road. But we ended up on that road, the road to connection. And, who's to say what's to
Well,
happen?
yeah, that's what I was just going to say to you. The only thing I'll say to you is slow down.
No, I am absolutely.
In
He's
your
been texting
brain,
me,
in your
but
mind,
yes, I
in it
so yeah.
all, because the universe has
There's
a million eyes and it's seen it all. Take a breath and take your time, because
absolutely.
that's a big part of the beauty of it. Peter said I love you very, not quickly, but fairly early on in our relationship.
Earlier on
And I would
than
not say it
maybe.
back. I was adamant I would not
Did
say it.
that bother
It drove him
Peter?
fucking nuts. And I have two things to say now, and I know we're going long. You're going to turn this into
No,
two
but
shows. I can
yes,
feel
I
it. You
am. I
can.
am.
There'll be a
Yes.
part one and a part two. I just want to say two things quickly. One, I waited, and I waited because Peter was never in the backroom scene or the leather scene right. Like, but he
Yes,
enjoys it. He
the scene
loves
that
going
you
out
and
with
I
me.
are
Yeah,
been
the scene that
in.
we're in, and I took him to my favorite part of the rooftop of the Eagle, around the corner on where Randy used to always be the corner bartender.
Love
Right,
Randy.
and that corner where you turn and you can lean against the
Honey,
bar
I
and you
know
can see on
exactly.
the roof. That is where I told Peter I love him. That is our I love you
That
spot.
is so romantic
So
to
every
me.
time we go to the Eagle and we stand there, I turn to him and I go, "Remember?" And he's like, "Yep." And I say, "I love you," and that is our spot. So why not
Wow.
play it out? Why not? It was like me asking Peter to marry me 3 years and 5 days after our first date on
Yeah.
Christmas Day, hopefully on the Golden Gate Bridge. It ended up not being that because of the weather. But Palace
Right.
of Fine Arts Golden Gate Bridge will always be the experience of our engagement. So play it out. And the other point that I wanted to make to you is I think my 4th year of going to Bear Week in Provincetown, I'm not going to remember his name, but there's this beautiful
No,
older
and we
man.
wouldn't want to say his name
No.
anyway.
I'll refer. There's this beautiful older man with a gray beard who's a big flagging guy. So
Yes, love the
anyone in
flagging
Boston who
community.
knows him, like he's a beautiful. Just can't remember his name at the moment. Anyway, he does the flagging, and I saw him at Bear Week, and I was like, "Oh my god, I want to hang out with you. Can we have dinner?" And he was seeing somebody else who was like, "Hey, we'll get to know each other, but I just need to be careful." And I said, "I understand that." And as the week went on, we were at the boat slip, and he was
Right.
doing his flagging thing. And I don't know, I said something like, I really wish we had dinner this trip or something. I don't know. I said something, and he said, "You know what, Lincoln, I want to tell you something. See all the
Oh,
guys here? They all kind of look the same.
right.
They all like to be part of this community and be more similar in this community. You're wearing like an eye patch and knee high. You don't like to look
Was
like
this the
other.
Wait, hold on. Was this the Madam X
No,
era?
like I'm just using that as an
Yeah,
example.
okay, got
It was
it.
my shtick. Like
Yeah, right.
I
You're
like,
so stylish.
I don't like to look like everybody else.
Me as well.
And
That's why we
he
love
said to
Madonna.
me, "You can keep coming back to this event, but if you keep looking for someone that everyone wants to look the same, you're just going to keep getting frustrated." And it was
So the
such an eye
takeaway.
opener to me.
So let's talk about the takeaway from that.
Well, well, first of all, I think I came back, and 6 months later, I met Peter, and he doesn't
Oh,
look like anyone else either. And he
I
wasn't doing
love
all of those
that.
events. And a lot of
Is
the
Peter speaking in the background?
yeah, he is. I think he's getting food, or the neighbor. We
Oh, I
have a
love it.
neighbor that brings us food
Oh,
once a week. She's 88 years old.
oh my
Her name is
God.
Johanna. Oh my god, this is a whole other story. But listen to
Tell
this.
us, tell us. This is
You've been
priceless.
in my apartment, Stephen.
Yeah, I have.
She
It's
used to
fabulous.
live in this apartment, and she raised 5 children in this apartment.
What?
Back when Chelsea was,
Was
like
Whoopi
Puerto
Goldberg
Rican
lived in?
West Side
Yeah.
Story world.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
And
Yeah.
she raised 5 children in this apartment. And her son was my age, and he died at 41.
Oh.
And when
Oh.
he died, she said, "You remind me of my son. You are now my son." I love you
Oh
like my
my
son. I'm
God.
going to take care of you. You are like my son. And like I said, she's 88, right? She makes the most beautiful Puerto Rican food, from
Oh,
scratch. It is incredible.
hello.
And here is the clitcher. So she raised those children in this apartment in, we'll think 80 years ago, right? Like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was not in the 80s. She paid $87 a month for my apartment.
Oh my God. Oh, we don't want to ask you. Yeah.
$87. I do not pay
$87
$87
fucking
a
dollar. I know you
month
don't.
for my apartment. And she moved out, and then someone else moved in, and they moved out. And now I've had this apartment for now
But she's
21 years.
part of the family now.
Yeah. So when we get Chinese food or whatever, we always get her some soup and we get her some food. I think
Oh.
that's what's happening on the other side. So I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
That was a lot. Anyway, so
Well,
the takeaway is, Stephen, pace yourself. Don't try and put a
yes,
formula on it. Don't look for the one. You have talked about the one throughout our years of knowing each other. And
I
that
have.
whole concept is pressure filled and expectation crazy. So just remember, everyone who steps into your life is the one, which I think is part of the reason these days you've been meditating on just making more connection.
Thank you for
With
saying
everyone
that,
who
because
comes into
that's what
your
I
life,
was going to
because
say.
everyone
It's
really is
my
the
life
one.
is changing with putting that intention out about connecting with everyone that I come in contact with.
But the most important thing, and we can end on this note, you are the one. We are
Yes.
each other's one. We came into this world, like I said, in a blinding flash of love and creativity, and in a very real way, everything we've added on since is useless, because we're going to go out the same way that we came in. And your perception of the world is the only thing you can control. So ask for a miracle and only look for more love in your life. And then if this guy is the right guy, it will develop naturally.
I love that, and I totally agree. And thank you for taking me have a reset. But I absolutely agree. It's the path that I'm currently on is experiences,
Yeah.
and I set an intention of being in the moment and also connecting with those I come in contact with, and that means everybody. From the moment I open my door and I walk out the door, it's everybody. And here, you know what I'm talking about. In New York City, we come in contact with so many people, and I, by just even setting that intention, my conversations have changed
Yeah.
within the last year. They are beautiful conversations, and they are not that important, but they're beautiful conversations. But here's the caveat, is it is parlaying into and setting a tone for somebody that, believe it or not, is a little bit shyer when I go out into larger scope, when I don't know what I'm walking, particularly in our gay community. It's setting a tone that you got this, Steve, you got it. And
Right.
I am walking into this past weekend with Jeremy and friends. There was a lot of friends that I had to meet, and normally in the past, I would have been freaking out. I was open to it. I met all of them. They were all lovely. I was cute. I was Carrie Bradshaw. I was light, bright, all those things that you want to be.
That's
I
great.
was, yeah. And I liked, ultimately it's I was very happy with myself.
Well,
And
that's
that
good.
may sound crazy, but
No,
it was my reality.
well, it doesn't
And
sound crazy, but it's also like we talked about before, the world is opening up again. And it's not
yes,
opening up to what it used to be. It's opening up
no,
what it is now and what it feels like now and what events are now. Part of the reason we haven't gone out a lot is I don't know what's out there. I don't know what's
yeah,
at a big nightclub anymore for me in my mental state right now. And if I try
right.
and make it into what it used to be, that's probably not going to work.
It's not
It's
what it
not.
was,
It's
Lincoln.
not what it was. So that's why,
And we
like,
don't want it to be either.
we don't want it to be either. And in a lot of ways, it wasn't anyway. You know what I mean? Even
No.
before the pandemic, things
Correct.
are always evolving forward. And again, you need to be the most comfortable with yourself more than anything else. Which is a full-time job for everybody, you know.
Well, this has been a very deeper conversation. One we do, by the way, we're
love
doing
it.
a deeper conversation next week for our Patreon members. So you guys can go to tagspodcast.com patreon.com/tags podcast and join it at the Virgin tier. But thank you, Lincoln. I think
Thank
we need
you.
to do more of these deeper conversations
I
just
love
on the
it.
regular show. Yes, I love it.
Well, I don't know
Connecting
how
with
else to
you.
be, so I'm just being myself, and we will keep going from there. And I also love it when people have questions or call in about stuff, because as a community, we just need to keep rising up and reminding ourselves and each other how beautiful we are just the way we are. You don't need to add anything else. Just be who you
Rise
are.
up.
Just
Rise
rise up with
up.
who you are. That's all that is necessary.
Thank you,
Truly.
Lincoln. You can always follow Lincoln at Protein Bakery. Are you doing anything for Pride?
Yes. Well, we're having a little soiree at the Protein Bakery and the Thai restaurant
What?
next door. No,
Oh,
just a
I'm
little.
coming.
Oh, but please do on Wednesday. Stop by, have a brownie, have a little pad thai from next door. It's more like a
Ah,
neighborhood appreciation because our block has been through so much between the
yes.
pandemic and the construction and the firehouse and all that stuff. Glur, the Thai restaurant next to me, put it together. So that's this Wednesday. And then the bakery will be open 12 to 6 on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Love
Saturday
it.
night, we're going to a rooftop party, which we're looking forward to. And then on Sunday, we're going to the pier dance, which is no longer on a pier. It's at Governor's Island, and Kim Petras is performing. So I don't know what Throat Goat even is, but we're just going to go and listen to her sing it and have a good time because Peter loves her. I'm out, but it'll be fun.
I love her. I love her as well. And follow him at Protein Bakery for all the festivities there, or at Mad Lincoln. At
Yes.
Mad Lincoln. Follow us at Tags Podcast, as I will surely be out and about. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to see this singer. She's queer, named Yumi. I'm not sure. She's half Japanese, half black. I love her.
Cool.
And I'm so excited to go to Brooklyn to kick off my Pride Week. I'm going by myself, but hey, that's the name of the game. And
That's
I'm
beautiful.
excited.
Yep. No doubt.
Message us and tell us what you guys are doing. And in the meantime, continue, for the love of God, having
Hot gay sex. Just be
sex.
careful and take care of yourself. Everyone.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, I want to thank you guys for checking out this brand new episode 378. I hope you loved the exclusive content serving to you. Like I said, we are back with Tags Live this Wednesday. Whenever you have a question, you want advice, you can write into us. You can DM us at Tags Podcast, or you can write into us. Just go to our website, TAGSPodcast.com, and you can get all the information, all the shows, links to Tags Live, links to special merch, so on and so forth. And I want to wish you all a great week ahead. And in the meantime, continue having hot gay sex.